Good morning and happy new year, everybody. Today is Monday. I normally put out this video on Sunday mornings. This is my Clearing the Bases episode where I clear out the short stories, all my browser tabs, my bookmarks and things. This one's going to be heavy on one story though, and I I probably should have broken it up into its own video. I am going to start with the story because it's the headliner. So if you're only interested in that, you can obviously end. But if you're not interested in it, you can end after I'm done with it. I mean, but if you're not interested in it, then fast forward a ways because I don't get to the other stuff until much later in this video, probably half to three quarters of the way through the video. Uh, uh, and I'm going to do my best to explain this. As the week went on, I was bookmarking tweets, trying to prepare to tell this story on Sunday. And then those bookmarks all went kablooey when this guy deleted his account. In fact, all of my private messages with him are gone as well. Thankfully, I took screenshots of them anticipating this. So I don't have any good way to share the screenshots with you. So I'm going to end up just kind of summarizing them as I read them, I guess. But we're going to start with the story. And again, no good way to to go through this story really. So I'm going to summarize it and then go through some of the tweets that are still out there and some of the screenshots that are still out there. So somebody named Michael went by the Twitter handle at CardGraderAI, and he appeared on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and he started a couple things, claiming that he had created an AI that could pre-grade your sports cards and presumably trading cards too. Um, and he was going to start charging for this service. And he asked people, send me your screenshots of your cards, send me your photos of your cards, and I will pre-grade them. And so people were sending him terrible photos of their cards, and he would respond with a summary of how it would grade with PSA, SGC, and BGS, I think, and maybe CGC, I don't remember. And so he would say, this would probably grade a 9 with PSA with 93% certainty, and a 9.5 with SGC. There were minor problems with it, like he said that PSA would grade things 9.5, which we know PSA does not do. Um, and but he was very responsive to criticism. He was legitimately very good at responding to criticism and coming back and saying, "Yep, you're right. This is a problem. I'm going to fix this." Oh, I haven't even put my cards back up here. That's how busy I've been. So I'm just realizing my background is a little sparse. So people were asking him a lot of legitimate questions, like, "Is how did you create this? How long have you worked in AI? Is this a business that you've started? When are you going to start doing this?" And he would just block them, block, 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 block. And so then these screenshots started showing up, and people would say, "Hey, why are you blocking people just for asking questions about your business?" And he would say, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm just a quick blocker. I always have been." And he would frequently blame his. He's on the autism spectrum, and he's formerly Asperger's. And I, I'm sensitive to that. I have a lot of experience with people with on the autism spectrum, um, and I get it. That's understandable. He People started asking him questions about himself, and people started saying, "Hey, your is your Twitter profile photo you, or is that AI generated?" And he acknowledged that it is AI generated, or was AI generated. Let's actually see if I can. I have, yeah, here it is. I'm going to share my screen here. Da, da, da. All right. Oh, first of all, this weekend I reached 1 million views on my YouTube channel. So, really excited about that. Here is, or was, Michael. This dude here, and all his account said was Michael Card Grader AI. And this is not my screenshot. He didn't block me, but he was blocking a lot of people. And this person says we asked basic questions and got blocked, and this was very, very common. People just asking him really simple questions about himself. People wanted to know who he is. If you're going to be running a business in the hobby, people want to know what kind of credibility you have and who they're buying from. So you can see here, Mario Alejandro said he's got him blocked as well. And then, whoops. Oh, here's another screenshot. CardGraderAI will open early access this week pending no issues. I'll be opening the first round to 10 to 20 users to get some initial real user testing and then open up more spots as we go. The price will be $25 per month for unlimited free grades. I'll announce the date and time of opening for those first spots in the next few days. So this service is not something that I would ever sign up for, but I can totally imagine, uh, particularly ultra modern investor types, people who are buying raw, grading, and flipping to buy into something like this. $25 a month, and you've got 1,000 cards. You want it pre-graded, 100 cards, whatever. It's probably a good deal. Uh, but if you're going to be putting $25 a month towards a service, you want to know that that service is legitimate and that the person behind that service is who they say they are and that they are legitimate and have experience in this service, in this industry. Um, so Mario Alejandro, great, great Twitter account, said that in November, this guy's username was Welfare Taco. Michael Thomas, Welfare Taco. And so this got people saying, oh, hang on a second. We're familiar with somebody named Michael Thomas, Welfare Taco. And that's when things started spiraling for Michael. Um, and he was getting a lot of criticism, and he would put out great statements saying, I'm not here to ruin cardboard or put anyone out of business. I just want to improve the hobby I love while building another small but mighty family oriented business. Uh, there were questions like, hey, if you can grade cards using a crappy photo, why doesn't PSA do that? Why doesn't BGS do that? Why doesn't SGC do that? And he wouldn't answer. And there were a lot of things like that. Uh, oh, another thing is that he was talking about authenticating autographs using terrible photos that people sent him. I don't think he was quite ready to do it yet, but he was definitely talking about it. So yeah, here we go. If you were a scammer, it wouldn't be because you changed your name or ran a contest. Uh, and he says, I'll fully admit I block fast. I'm not that great at taking criticism, so it's a protection method for me. It's probably the autism or social anxiety I suffer from. I get that. But yeah, the other things are certainly not red flags and quite normal on social media. Uh, okay, let's move on here. Tanuki Tech. Somebody discovered that he owned a company called Tanuki Tech, a marketing company, which also had their Twitter deleted at this time. Uh, he had an image slash reputation problem through this Tanuki Tech account. Then they discovered that he was giving away, as part of his attempt to grow a following, he was giving away autographs. And he says, did you know I also run a nonprofit charity that sells autoed 8x10s and donates 100% of the money to worthy charities? So if you're looking for any autographs of any genre, reach out with names and I can tell you who we have available at great prices. So he had a Livy Dunn autograph. And uh, somebody reached out to him, Armor Cards, another person who was digging into this, reached out to him through Autographs for Charity because they discovered that he was giving away this autograph and they found it on this eBay store. So they've connected his eBay store or this Autographs for Charity eBay store, and they said, "Hi, Welfare Taco," and they said, "Hi," and they asked, "Are you Welfare Taco AI card grader?" And the person said, "No, I'm Kristen." And here's the Livy Dunn autograph. But confirmed, this is that very same one. Okay. And then people are questioning the legitimacy, the authenticity of a lot of these autographs. Here's a Bryce Harper. Here's a LeBron James that's only $130, which to me seems low for a LeBron James autograph. But I'm not in the photograph autograph market, so I don't know. Here's a Corbin Carroll. And then this person says, uh, Welfare Taco Michael is an employee of ours, even though he says that he ran it. And he does have the ability to utilize our inventory within reason. And they said, so he's allowed to be giving away items donated for charity to promote his business. Okay, so this giveaway winner blocked, where did I just have that? Blocked Armor Cards after they asked the giveaway winner some questions. So there's some questions about the legitimacy of the giveaways. Here's the block, but this looks like a legitimate account, I guess. Okay. And then what happened to all the inventory? Because apparently Autographs for Charity deleted all of their inventory. Said, we've received a few messages questioning the authenticity of a few of our autographs, so we'll be sending them out for full authentication before putting them back up for sale as a precaution. And I get more once I start private messaging with Michael. I ask him more about this. And he says, they say, thank you for being one of the people who brought it to our attention, which this feels very much like Michael talking based on the messages and his statements. Uh, yeah, and then here you've got this Leaf thing. If you remember, Leaf proved that they had the Rock signing autographs. And in November, Michael had written, LOL, stickers, pass. I'll get a legit one in person. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a wild world out there. So here's another one of them. This is, I guess, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know wrestling. Oh yeah, Stone Cold. Yeah. And then I don't know what the point of this is, but they were just, I guess, finding that he was deleting posts on Twitter. And he did, after coming back, and and he scrubbed his account entirely. Okay, what's next here? So, waiting for Valhalla at Funko Pop Head was really upset because he won a giveaway and apparently wasn't going to be getting it because he was blocked. But then Michael, CardGraderAI, came back and said, "No, no, you're not blocked. My DMs have been open all this time." And then he released a statement. I don't have a screenshot of that statement, I don't think. But and here's before the statement came out. He talked about having been doxxed by the goons that don't like that I created CardGraderAI. Look, he was not doxxed by the goons that this isn't like PSA doxing him. People were just asking him questions. He claims that his wife's hospital was called where she works as an RN. If that's true, that is truly a scumbag move. I'm with him on that. And then he says the charity he does good work for, that he claimed that he ran, was contacted and harassed. I didn't see any evidence of harassment. People were just asking them questions. And then he says, you guys win. I'm out. I'm done. The best part, all this is because I created an AI powered card grader, even though he claims it's not a card grader, it's a pre grader. And the claim that it's a fake and not a real thing. I was scamming people. That he's not admitting to scamming people. He's just saying that's what is being claimed. Look at my pinned comment, concrete, irrefutable proof that it was real and it works. I can assure you that his pinned comment did not have irrefutable proof that it was real and it worked. He was taking. It was very well written, by the way. He's very well spoken. He writes very well. There's just a lot of questions about how it works, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. Did people bully him? Probably a little bit. That's it's inevitable, unfortunately, online. But I think the majority of the people that I was following and reading screenshots of were just asking him legitimate questions about himself and his business and how it worked. And how can you possibly authenticate autographs based on a crappy photo of the card with an autograph on it? It's kind of like the rock autograph controversy where somebody sent uh, a photo from eBay to PSA or Beckett or whoever it was, and it came back as likely not genuine, likely not authentic. It just, I don't know. I'm open to it. I love technology. I'm open to the technology. I love AI. It just feels very um, early on in the process. And I asked him a lot of questions about this that I'll get to shortly. Um, and JB, Oldtown Cards, questions him being doxxed, saying, people want to know who they're buying from. Dude announced his pay for grading model, and people wanted to know who exactly would I be buying from. Don't want that to happen. Don't try to hawk your product to an active community. Uh, yeah, 100%. Trying to see if I'm missing anything in here. Uh, so he scrubs his account, and then he comes back with this long, very well written, really full of contrition statement. And there was the only thing on his account was this statement, and it said, here, let me. I don't have the statement, unfortunately, but it basically said, acknowledged that he made a lot of mistakes and that he rolled out his product too early. He should have waited until it was ready for market. It was a really, really good statement. And people are talking about, there are some people who are defending him, saying, I only had good communication with him. Yeah, he's very, very good at communicating through messages, through tweets. I agree with that. That is completely legitimate. His statement was really, really good. So I am going to reshare. And this person here, let's make sure, yeah. I am Meatballs. It's a me, Meatballs. Shares this website here. Says it's a good chance it's this guy who apparently had a lot of issues with his last businesses before running to new ventures. And this is the website, stopstealingphotos.com. Uh, and they uncover that his name is Michael Thomas Ireland, aka Michael Thomas in Tampa, Florida. And they have his website, his Facebook of his former business called SEOtographer. And I asked him a lot of these questions about this stuff, so I'll get into that shortly. They have evidence that, or they claim to have evidence that he was scamming his SEO clients. And so I'm going to get into his responses to this. This is a pretty thorough website that goes through. Client two paid $1,190 in two installments for SEO optimization. No record of Michael ever logging into the website to do any work. The client was able to get one charge reversed through her credit card, not through SEOtographer. And while Michael claims on the Google review that this client was refunded in full, they are still owed $595, which is half of it. There's a lot of that in here. So I think that is my last one on this. So from here, the best I can do, unfortunately, is just talk you through my the screenshots of my private messages with him because they are gone otherwise, because he deleted his account midway through my conversation with him. Excuse me. So after his statement, in his statement, he said, I'm an open book. My messages are open. Feel free to message me. And so I'm sitting there watching the Patriots yesterday afternoon, unfortunately, and I sent him a message and I said, hey, Michael, I do fair YouTube videos on controversies in the hobby. I'd like to cover the stuff happening with your account. Is there anything you'd like to say that you haven't already? I have some questions for you. How did you get AI to pre-grade cards? Don't you need 10,000 plus examples of cards before the AI can possibly work? This is my understanding of it, but I'm admittedly not very well informed on AI. And then I said, how can your AI grade a terrible photo of the front of a card? I asked him why he was attacking people and doxing people, like in a screenshot that Mario Alejandro tweeted out. I asked him, how can your AI authenticate a terrible photo of an autograph? Uh, as the CEO of a company, why are you hiding your identity? Why did you use an AI photo as your profile picture? Do you understand why that makes people distrust you? And then I said, I'm really interested in your side here. Thanks for taking the time. I plan to record and release the video around 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is now. Uh, and then he responded right away saying he'd go through these one by one. And he asked me to share the attack, the doxing that I mentioned. And I shared that with him. And he said that that was a public figure, it was a politician. I don't think we should be doxing really anybody, but fine. Well, I thought he was attacking somebody in the hobby. I misunderstood. So his answer to my question about how did you get AI to pre-grade cards, he says it's a common misconception that you need 10,000 plus examples. You actually do not. If you gave AI directions the same as a human, it can do a great job of grading cards. Most grading companies put their exact grading specifications right on their website, which is true. I fed them to the AI and it now uses visual photographs to do the best it can. This is important. Our intent is not to grade cards, but to instead pre-grade them, even though he was saying in his tweets that he had created a card grader. It's a tool, just like a centering acetate is a tool. It's not meant nor advertised as the end all for card grades, but it's certainly good enough to tell you if a card is worth grading or not. As we know, a 7 is nothing, but a 10 is riches. So this is somebody obviously thinking about ultra modern cards, not vintage. With that said, and this is important, we do have training data from other sources like eBay, the web, etc. It not only learns from the cards we feed it, but also does its own search during the grading process. When you feed it a card, it will look up the same cards elsewhere for help. If you look on PSA's page, and he sends me the link to PSA's page, it gives you each and every specification they use for each card grade. Our AI uses the same thing when using a PSA prediction. Okay, fine. And I asked him about AI authenticating a terrible photograph of an autograph, and he says AI tries its best. And then he says, I try my best to tell everyone that the better photographs you give me, the better it will do. Again, this is not a grader. Again, you claimed it was in many tweets. It can only work with what you give it. So if you give it a card in a scratchy case taken on a Nokia flip phone, it'll grade that card, just probably not as well as 8 clear photographs with great lighting. I absolutely and genuinely feel this is my fault. And this is another one of those things where he's very, very good at admitting his own fault. And I teach my kids a good apology is such a great tool, and he is really good at this. He says, I set expectations and graded cards that I should not have. When someone submitted a bad photo, I should have asked for better ones. Instead, I just thought it was so impressive that the AI could even get close that I rolled with it. I truly feel with this whole thing, that was one of my biggest mistakes I've made. And I asked him about how can your AI authenticate a terrible photo of an autograph? Oh, sorry. He responded to the wrong question. That one was about grading a card with a photograph. And then he says about authenticating a autograph via photo. He says it can't, even though I'm quite certain he was claiming that it could. He says, I have not offered anyone any autograph authentication on the fly and or with bad photographs. See, I think that's where he's catching, is that he was saying he could do the same thing with autograph authentication as he was doing with grading, um, which was being used by people who are using terrible photographs. And so I think what he's saying now is you need better photographs, and he would be able to authenticate autographs. And I said, oh, I thought you were offering auto authentication or were about to release it. He didn't respond to that. So then he responded to my question about, as the CEO of a company, why are you hiding your identity? And he said, oh, I said, do you understand why that makes people distrust you? And he said, I can certainly understand that. I hide my face for mainly two reasons. One, I'm autistic, high functioning, formerly known as Asperger's. It's correct. Uh, Asperger's was a very common diagnosis for years. The DSM-5 eliminated it, and now it's just the autism spectrum. You can get diagnosed with things like social communicative pragmatic disorder and things like that. But he's saying that he's on the spectrum. He says, while it doesn't affect my intelligence, I'm incredibly bad in social situations and any real life social interactions. It's always been my weakness. Being outside in public gives me anxiety to the point I feel sick. I have never used any real photographs or any social network dating back to MySpace. I used AI because one, it kind of fit due to us being an AI company, and two, I think it's important to put a face to the company, even though that face was fake. I don't think I was in the wrong for using an AI face for two, but was probably in the wrong for number two. I should have just started with the logo. Again, a mistake I made. I responded to him, don't you think it would help your credibility, though, if people at least knew who you are and your background? And here he actually responds to me saying, I thought you were offering auto authentication. He says, we never officially offered authentication. It was planned for release with CardGrader AI after, roadmap wise, maybe a month after. I have a fully working model now, but it's not ready for release without some major testing, including verified tests, known fakes, known real, etc. And which, I mean, that's smart. You want to have that. If that's the case and you want to release this, you've got to test it. And so he was clearly trying to release this way too early. He says, another mistake I made. I probably announced too early. It's definitely coming, but it wasn't ready to be talked about. I guess just get too excited and speak way too early about way too many things. Yeah, that's right. So here he responds to my question about his credibility and his background. And he says, honestly, this whole thing happened so fast that I was flying by the seat of my pants, and it was a juggling act just to keep going. It all started as me just posting, hey guys, I did this and it's pretty cool. And it blew up. I didn't want to lose momentum, so I kept moving at the speed of light when I should have slowed down and thought about things. In my brain, I thought if the grader did all the talking, why would anyone care about me? People, I I get that he thought that, I guess, but nobody's going to buy anything from a company that has no credibility, and the company is owned by somebody with no credibility, with somebody who has a background of scamming people, and that's probably the true answer behind this. And we get into this a little bit. So I asked him, what's your background with AI, and what's your background with cards? And he said, I've been involved with AI most of the year. Remember, this was on December 31st. Most of the year now, like most home users, when OpenAI/ChatGPT came out, I was addicted. I was a longtime tinkerer with tech for decades now with other platforms and hobbies, i.e., web design, game development, etc. A lot of AI is just giving instructions in a way an AI understands it. So it's incredibly easy to rapidly develop it, try it, learn from it, then start the process over again. The first version of CardGrader AI, like the first or second set of instructions, did nothing but give me the centering on a card. Then I added through maybe 500 plus revisions. When it made mistakes, I corrected them and gave it instructions on how to handle them. So, anyway, to answer your questions directly, I was one of the first in the door for OpenAI and have been working with it daily since. So I asked him about the stopstealingphotos.com, where he was alleged to have stolen or not performed the $600 in SEO work that I had reviewed a few minutes ago here. But first, he answers my question about cards. He explains that he was a longtime collector in the 90s and 2000s, took a break where he didn't like where the hobby was going, came back a few years back by watching breaks obsessively. I'm talking 14 hours a day on side tabs while I worked and did other things. I learned an incredible amount in a short time. 14 hours a day watching breaks. Uh, and then, so he basically ignores my question. He says, people are digging and making up their own narratives. I've told you everything on my end above. And I said, but that was your business, yes? SEOtographer and Tanuki marketing. And he said, I can only speak on specific parts of that. Shoot, I didn't get this whole screenshot. due to my legal action on my part. That was all I got from that. It was a short message, but he was basically saying, I've filed a lawsuit and I can't talk about it because of pending legal action. And then he says, it should be noted that website you link is known for its dramatization and such. No credible news sources, photography or otherwise, would publish it with no evidence or proof of wrongdoing, which is true. But there were allegations in there, and I wanted him to address them. And he has confirmed now. Uh, so I guess I didn't get all of the screen. Oh, I did. Here we go. Whew, I have some other screenshots in here. Uh, and he says, "Oh, and I should add, I am in no way blaming these three customers for the initial chargeback refunds. I should have had better systems in place in case of my demise or need to not work. I have since rectified that, and systems are in place." So he has acknowledged now that he owns Tanuki Marketing and SEOtographer. Uh, and I responded back to him saying, I agree that no one would publish these without any evidence. But if you're going to court over the cases, it sounds like there's truth to it, no? And he said, no, I'm the one who's taking them to court for libel and defamation. They were made whole. They have zero fiscal damages to go to court over, or they would have. And I asked him, you've been involved with AI for most of the year, and then mentioned 2 months hospitalized, because he talked about, he, I might be missing a screenshot here. He talked about how in that SEOtography business, he was hospitalized for a couple months earlier this year. And so I said, you claim that you've been working on AI for most of this year, but you were hospitalized for a couple of months. How many months have you been involved in AI then? And he said, I don't know. It's not exactly something you count. I do. I know exactly. I've been doing my YouTube channel for 2.5 years. You kind of know when you start something how long you work on it. Let's see. According to Google, ChatGPT has been out since November 22, so I'd say it's been almost a full year of AI minus some time off from it. It's pretty unclear. Um, and I asked him if the evidence hasn't already been turned over to the court, and he said that article features a lot of untrue material. That's the defamation. Also, contractual interference for speaking to my customers, currently and previous, and giving them verifiable lies. That implies that he was in a contract with that website, which I seriously doubt for some reason, but maybe I'm wrong. He says, my customers trust me and they gave me screenshots of these conversations. We feel we have a very good case. Otherwise, I wouldn't be paying for it to continue. His customers trust him. I don't know. There's just so much going on here, and I'm trying to respond to him. Um, and then he says, respectfully, we need to change topics. As I already told you, I was limited to what I can tell you. And so then I private messaged a source I know and said, hey, you're good with legal systems. Can you look up this guy and find a lawsuit? Michael Thomas Ireland, Michael Ireland, SEOtographer, Tanuki Tech, Tanuki Marketing, and find if there's any lawsuit anywhere. And so I go back and I'm asking Michael more questions. What's your connection to the charity with the autographs? And he says, I donated autographs to them from purchases I've made over the years, and recently I helped them on occasion with special projects upon request. And remember, he had claimed that he ran this charity, and now he's saying that he donates autographs to them and helps them with special projects on request. And he says, as of yesterday, I'm no longer with them by their own request. Even though there's no wrongdoing on my part, they felt it was best to separate. And under the circumstances, I agree. Another case where he is acknowledging fault. He's so good at this. And I asked him, where did you obtain the autographs? And he said, I purchased them through various means, like most people do, some eBay, some local hobby shops, trades, etc. I've obtained a few myself. We also had some charity signings with the charity I was working with that was set up by the leadership there. And what I didn't get to ask him is, why not just donate the money to the charity instead of buying an autograph through eBay and then donating the autograph for the charity to sell at potentially a loss to him? Why not just donate the money? It didn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, and I wish I'd been able to. So I heard back from my source about the alleged lawsuit, and he said there is nothing. The last anything under that name was from, I want to say, 10 years ago, 2013. And I think it was him based on the screenshots I was given, but it was so old, it had nothing to do with this. And so I responded to him, "In what state is your lawsuit? I couldn't find anything anywhere in any court systems." He read my message pretty quickly, and he had been responding very, very fast throughout the entire afternoon. He read that message quickly and he didn't respond. And I went back and checked a little bit later, and he had deleted his account. Hadn't scrubbed it, he had just deleted it. And he hadn't blocked me, he deleted his Twitter account. And is it reasonable to think that it was because of my last question? I think so. I don't know if anybody else was private messaging him. I posted a tweet saying, sharing a screenshot that he had deleted his Twitter, and I said, I may have done this. I'm not really sure. And nobody else talked. Nobody. I added 150 new followers. It got a lot of attention, and nobody said, "Oh, hey, I was private messaging him too." So it's a very strange thing. He made a lot of claims that sounded really good, but when pushed back, couldn't couldn't bring the evidence, couldn't back it up. And I'm not a bully push kind of person, and I don't believe in that type of behavior. I do believe, though, that you should be able to back up your claims. You should be able to prove your credibility. You should have some sort of background in this field. I don't know. It's unfortunate. He had a lot of people believing him. He got up to 2,400 followers on Twitter very quickly, and and people were really excited about the technology. And I understand it. When you're in that, you know, uh, buying raw ultra modern cards, grading and flipping, if you can spend $2,500 a month for hundreds of cards and say, let's say you're at a card show and you take a picture of a card, put it in there, and it says this will get a PSA 10, and you're like, wow, PSA 10, this card's $100, and a 10 will get me $250. There's an easy way to essentially break the system. You've disrupted the system. So there were a lot of people who were really excited about that, understandably. And I feel there were people who were mad at me for whatever, for my private messages. I did not I, I was asking him perfectly reasonable questions about his background, his credibility. Um, I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. I feel like he's on the autism spectrum, which I have sensitivity for, and he struggles, and he got really excited, and he posted that he had built this machine. And if it's legit, it's cool. But if it is legit, why isn't PSA doing it? I don't know. I mean, I know why PSA isn't, but PSA would buy his product and then quash it. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. So let me move on to the next topic here. I'm curious for your thoughts on this subject. Was he legit? Was he could be. Maybe he comes back, but he definitely, to me, has some credibility issues because of his past with taking money and not doing any work. And I don't know. It's a puzzling thing to me. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Uh, yeah, so I don't know if you can see this. No, you can't. Yeah, so there's his Twitter account. gone yesterday. Something went wrong, and now it's I think entirely gone. Twitter, and then I go to at CardGraderAI, search for, and there is nothing anymore. His account. Here it is. Let me share my screen again. Go over here. This account doesn't exist. So, Michael, we hardly knew you. Sorry. All right, on to my normal non card grader AI drama. This guy, Greg Ehrenberg, wrote his brother won a Topps redemption 2 years ago for a random piece of MLB memorabilia from an all-star player. Yesterday, it finally came in the mail. They sent him a pair of pants used by Wander Franco. I'm actually nervous this could be a piece of evidence. This is why would anybody want Wander Franco's pants? I I don't know. It's such a strange thing. And then speaking of Wander Franco, on the back of this Bowman Wander Franco cards, it said he's a threat to run. I thought that was pretty funny. This is from Eggy's Cards. Threat to run. What's going to happen with Wander? As you know, I love the Hall of Fame. This is from a couple days ago on the 30th. It's looking very likely, in fact, 100% likely that Adrian Beltre will make the Hall of Fame. It's looking quite likely that Joe Mauer will. Todd Helton, not so likely, 37% chance. Billy Wagner, even less likely. And then Gary Sheffield. Sheffield's now at 73%. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but we should expect the later and the anonymous ones to come in with no Sheffield. Okay, so then Mario Alejandro again had these baseballs that were PSA authenticated autographs. So this is, I assume, Mike Trout. Otani? No, that's Acuna, right? I don't I don't know. I don't know these guys' autographs that well, so and they're very, very shaky. I've never signed a baseball, or did I actually? I signed one at the National. It's not easy. It can't be easy, right? So he's asking, how did these get PSA authenticated? They're being sold by Probstein. And Steve Grad, who's the autograph expert, said, of course they are bad. I find it very difficult to believe even PSA would cert those, but I've seen far worse lately. And somebody had a photo of here's the cert right here. Although it's very, very blurry. They probably copied a cert from an authentic signature. Yeah, a PSA cert looks fake. I wish I could read it, but yeah, just a crazy thing. Oh, that's crazy. So then this kind of went viral on Facebook and then Twitter. A young collector pulls an autograph of his favorite player on Christmas Day. Uh, I believe this is the situation where the father had pre-opened the pack and slid in the favorite player into the pack. It's just a little kid, and people went bananas saying that this guy's a repacker and he's shady, and it went crazy. Uh, I'm curious what you think. What do you think about a dad opening a pack for his child and sliding in and then resealing the pack so the kid thinks that they found their favorite player in there? Um, Here's another one. This is from Sports Card Nonsense. Same situation. Father did this, admits to it, and people got very upset about it. A lot of people said, like, I support anything that makes a child's day, good dad win. Giving a kid some joy on Christmas is a major win. I agree with these people. People are assuming this kid has never opened a pack in his life and isn't aware of that. This person put a smile on their kid's life for Christmas. That's all that matters, period. This is fantastic parenting, assuming the kid isn't 20. If he's under 10, I'm all for it. Yeah, that's my feeling too. I've been following this story, even though I don't collect comics. It's interesting. So CGC comics were um, revealed to have been tampered with, where people were pulling out the graded comic book, let's say in a 9, and putting in a lesser comic, let's say a 6, into the 9 holder, and then taking that 9 and having it regraded. Now you have 2 9s. And CGC has acknowledged it, and it's affecting a few hundred comic books. So this is a big deal in the comic book industry right now. I don't know enough about it, but it seems problematic at best. This one was funny. This Tetbet C bought a collection of cards from a mom on Facebook Marketplace, and this was sitting on top. This is a very, very valuable Giannis rookie. It's got a rubber band around it, and look at the corners. Oh, and Tetbet says the rest of the collection was pretty happy to find a handful of cool numbered cards, and some of the better rookies from the years that were included. There were no base Giannis out of over 150 rookies from 2013 products, and only the red. Anthony Bennett, great, good stuff here. Yeah, I just thought that was really, really funny. Poor guy. This is amazing. Complete T206 250 card polar bear back run set, along with my very first one, Frank Chance. Started it 4.5 years ago. Thought this was awesome. CRT sports cards. Very cool. Oh yeah, and then this, I did a video a while back on this black box covering Mike Witt, and there were rumors that he was doing something inappropriate in the photo, and so Upper Deck covered whatever he was doing with a black box, and so I covered that, and then this past week or 2 weeks ago, the Card Life TV solved this, where they messaged uh, Tom Guideman, first employee at Upper Deck. And he says, I don't remember a lot of the specifics. They had the ability to replace a card of an injured player, Wit, with a more desirable one. The high series was already turned over from my department in creative and ready to print. The decision was made to swap out the Wit, and the generic black rectangle was added to help people working the packaging line to pull out the cards of the 2 now non-desired cards, so they never made it inside packs. The black goes through the border, and were the only 2 cards that would have any color visible when the sheet was cut down. In 1989, the forms were all laid out in numerical order. Most likely, Wit was next to the checklist card, and both would have had the black bleeding off the end of the form, or possibly foot to foot to maximize one strip pull of hologram foil stamping. I've heard rumors that Wit had his fly down the black picture, but I don't recall that at all. It would have been easier to just replace that picture with another if that was actually the case. Instead, all new 4-color dies front and back needed to be done, and change the type on the checklist. So it sounds like they just added that so people could see it and pull it off the line. Neat. I saw this quad signature: Vince Young, Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn, and Matt Leinart. Ouch. And they asked, what does this card go for in 2007? Yeah, it's a good question. Number 10 quad signature. Imagine what this would go for now. Quad on card signature of 4 top rookie quarterbacks. I'm assuming that all 4 of them were rookies at that time, but I don't really know. I'm not a huge football guy. So and here's somebody's asking $595 or best offer for it now. I saw this yesterday. Card Collector 2 faces allegations of receiving loaded boxes from Panini. And that's what it is right now, is allegations. This person on Instagram, I guess, uh, is claiming that they have emails between Card Collector 2 and a Panini employee colluding and negotiating a deal for Ryan to open juiced packs on his social media platforms. And this is the person he was communicating with. So, uh, oh, and he has now responded, and he hadn't last night, so this is good. And he says this is blatantly false. There are no emails and won't be, as it never happened, not with Panini, Topps, Leaf, etc. I have not one time ever asked for a special loaded box, nor have I ever willingly received one. Every box we've purchased was either online as a collector or direct through our card shop. Nothing special, nothing backdoored. Uh, and then they talk about his issue with Mark's cards, which has been dragged to death. So I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I'll be following this if they release these emails, and Ryan claims that there are none. So we'll see. This 2023 Bowman Draft 95 Bowman Dream Draft Picks Autograph Superfractor Tom Brady sign card 1/1 PSA Mint 9 is currently at $95,000, but $116,000 with buyer's premium, with 12 and a half days to go. How much will this go for? What do you think? Will this hit 500,000? I'm curious to know. I'll be following this as well. And then I did a video on this. This is one of my subscribers' cards. It's a very, very rare, and Ken Golden was on Instagram calling it a one of a kind, the only example known. It's the only one in the PSA Pop report, but there have been others. I think SGC has a couple of others. This is the highest graded one, and they put a $10,000 first initial bid. No bids happen on this one, unfortunately. I talked to the seller of this, one of my subscribers, and he has offers. I think I shouldn't say that. He has talked to people who are interested in buying it. So we'll see what happens between this and that, if it becomes a private sale. So yeah, bummer for him, but probably turn out okay. This is by far my longest Clearing the Bases episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I cleared things up a little bit with CardGraderAI. Let me know in comments. I don't know. It's it's a weird thing, but Happy New Year. Thanks very much for watching.